Welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to take our Photoshop composite that we made in our previous video, and we're going to take it into Adobe After Effects, and we're going to build a parallax animation. Previously, we started with a rough sketch, and from this sketch, I showed you how we're going to break it apart in Adobe After Effects. Now, I didn't show you exactly how, but I showed you how a parallax animation works, how we kind of zoom in and out. And from this rough sketch, we worked through and we built this Photoshop file. Now we're going to start to get this Photoshop file ready to build into an actual parallax animation. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So now that our file is done, we need to make these into just layers where we can put everything together. So again, we are going to keep using smart objects, but we're going to change it up a little bit now. So first things first, let's deal with just our background. So I need our background in one layer. The easiest way to do this, click on both of these and just say convert to smart object. And this now became that. Our moon. Again, select these two and just say convert to smart object, call it moon. Our clouds are ready to go. Our mountain, we need all of our adjustment layers. So with our mountains, we're going to select all these, convert to smart object, call it mountains. Our forest, again, select all these, convert to smart object, call it forest. And the reason why we're doing this, when we work in After Effects, each one of these will be a separate layer in our file, and that way we can quickly, easily work on it. That's my right cloud. This is going to be my left cloud. And then last but not least, we have our hiker. Convert to smart object, hiker. There we go. For me now, this Photoshop file is ready to move into After Effects to be torn apart and animated. So let's go ahead and let's save our file and let's make that jump over to After Effects. So inside of After Effects, we're going to make a new project. Save changes, I don't care to save. So first things first, when you make a new project, you need to save. Save as, put it where it belongs. In this case, everything is on my desktop. And we're going to call this Parallax Animation. So first things first, let's go ahead and let's create our composition. So the composition, for me, I always like your last name, first name, and parallax. That way we know the project. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to get it all ready to go. My settings, I didn't look at them, so let's go look at them real quick. It should be HD, 1920 by 1080, square pixels, duration, 10 seconds is fine. You might need to change your duration a little. Now, let's work on importing our Photoshop file. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here, right click, say import file, and we're going to go to our composite file. We're going to import this as a composition. We're going to do composition. Don't retain layer sizes. If you do, it's going to give you all the extra stuff outside of your layers. We're going to just do a regular composition. Hit open. So it's a composition. We can merge layer styles into footage. That's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and click OK. And what you're going to notice when we do that, you have a composite composition and all of your layers have been loaded in. If I double click on composite, you're going to notice, let's fit this. Here is my composite. Here are all those individual layers we worked on. In fact, this is linked as well. So if I went and changed something, these would automatically update. So what you're going to do in your composite is you're just going to select all your layers. You're going to copy them. and then we're going to go to the file we're building, and we're going to paste them. Now, when we paste them, you're going to notice, let's go ahead and fit, that we are zoomed in at the moment. Unfortunately, or the reason being, we worked in 4K, so this is what 4K size would look like. We worked in 4K, but we're doing this video in 1080p. So what I want you to do first is I want you to zoom out, and with everything selected, I just want you to grab that corner, hold shift so it retains, and just get everything sized appropriately inside of your frame. Doesn't have to be perfect, but pretty close there. So now we have a stage set, we have all our layers. Now we can work on building our 3D parallax animation. So first things first, save. Gotta save. It will crash on you eventually. First things first, we are gonna make a camera. So right click, go to new, camera, and just choose the 50mm preset and hit OK. Right here, camera and lights do not affect 2D layers. That's right, we're going to make 3D layers. Show warning if you want, sure. So on the very top, we have our camera. If you want to see the camera, if you go over here to your view and change it to top, this is your camera right here. Let me zoom out to 12.5%. This right here is our camera in a 3D view. We don't see any of these objects yet because they are not in the 3D view, they're in a 2D view, but we do have a camera. The other thing I want you to add, we're going to add a null object. And what we're going to do is we are going to attach the camera to the null object. So click on parent and say null. And the reason being, anything we change on the null is going to change this camera view without actually changing the camera. So it's a quick, easy way to work. Now with those two set, it's time to start making 3D layers. So first things first, background was nothing. I want you to start with the Milky Way. My background was blank. We're going to start with the Milky Way. And to make this 3D, all you do right here, this 3D cube, just click it. And I now have a 3D layer here. If you change this to custom view 1, you'll see, let me zoom in 50%, there is our 3D layer we just put in there. Notice when I turn it off, it goes away, turn it on, it's right there at that camera viewpoint. Let's go back to top real quick. Here, this line right here is our layer. We have several controls. We have a Y, an X, and a Z. I want you to grab the Z, and I want you to push it up. So we're going to push our background way into the background there. Next, we're going to turn on the moon, make it a 3D layer, select the moon, and I want you to push him back here as well. Not quite as far as your background. I want you to bring him a little bit closer. Again, for your next item, I want you to grab it. So what we're doing is we're setting a 3D stage for everything to fly through. So right now, I'm just going to kind of move everything in the 3D stage here. And I'm just kind of stacking them up. And these are my clouds. We can bring these a little closer. My left cloud, I can even bring him probably about the same level, maybe a little further back. My hiker, he's in the very front. So all I've done, actually, we're going to move him a lot closer. We'll put the clouds a little closer. There we go. So all we've done is we've made 3D layers, and we've kind of controlled their distance from the camera. And you could go wild with your distance. What we're going to do now is we're going to change our view to the active camera, or the camera 1. And I want you to notice our scene here. This is how the camera sees everything right now. So just like if we put things out, the further away, the smaller they would appear. The same thing is happening to our camera. So what we're going to do, let me zoom out a little bit here, 50. Yeah, 50% is fine. What we're going to do now, notice we just need to change how some of these look. So on my Milky Way layer here, we can hold Shift, bring them up to the right size. For my moon, come on, moon, where are you at? Again, we're going to scale the moon. There he is. I see the corners there. Scale them up to about the right size. For my clouds, scale them up a little bit. For my mountains, scale them up just a little bit. My forest up just a little bit. My right cloud looks good. Left cloud looks good. And my hiker, he's a little big, so I'm going to scale him down a little. And I might choose to move some things later. But now you see, we have a nice 3D view of everything. Now, go ahead and save. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start animating this. And animating this is really easy. You're going to take your null object. You're going to hit P, mark for position. You're going to hit S for scale, mark that as well. Then you can hit U and it'll show you both keyframes. I want you to jump to the end of the timeline and put another keyframe. So on a PC, it's Control, Alt, and right arrow. I think here it's Option, Command, right. And I'm going to add 2 new keyframes. So this is the view I want at the very end. So let's go to the beginning of this video and let's start playing. First things first, scale. We're going to go ahead and zoom in. And notice I can also change the position. I want to start on the left over here a little bit. And I definitely want to start further up. If I don't like the scale, I can change it. I can zoom in more, zoom out more, maybe something like that. And now when I hit play, change your resolution here to probably half. When I hit play, it's going to show me exactly how the camera is going to move out. And you can see that parallax animation already happening as he moves out. So now you see how it looks, and it's got a really cool back and forth motion happening. So now we're going to go ahead and work on animating some other items here. So one of the first things we can animate, an easy one, maybe the clouds in the background we're going to animate. So just like you animate anything else, I can animate the position. And let me get that keyframe at the beginning. And Control Shift, go to the end, add another one. And you might decide position in the beginning. Where would I want to move them to? Let's see. Maybe it's going to slowly move to the right. So now when I play, see the clouds in the background slowly moving to the right. Gives it just kind of a little whatever you want to call it, just something a little fun happening there. Same thing for the other clouds in the front here. Those clouds, so the right clouds, I might want to scale those as well. So let's go ahead and again, P for position, turn on the clock, and let's jump to the front of the timeline. Add one, jump to the back of the timeline, add another. I don't know why I have one there, so I'm going to delete that one. And at the end of the timeline, I want it, let's see, which way were those others moving? To the right. So at the beginning of the timeline, I want those off the stage somewhere else. So I'm going to move them off like that. Let's go ahead and hit play and let's see what happens. See how my clouds are slowly floating in on the left, slowly moving. And I would probably do the same with the left clouds. Position. I would probably float them in a little, float them out a little. So let's see. think I want them going this way. So there we go. Let's hit play. And now you notice I got my clouds moving in the background. I got my clouds moving in the foreground. You could get in here, you could start to animate other things. You could animate the hiker. You could have them taking a drink, which I've done in other versions of this. So there's a lot of neat things you can do to really sell up this animation. You could have text popping up, but it's just a really neat, easy way to make an animation. There we go. Kind of like it. So that right there is a quick, easy how to make a parallax animation. Please do better. I am not a big fan of that there, but we're going to leave it for now. I'm going to go ahead, save this. The one last thing you need to do is export. So go File, Export, add to render queue. And here you can keep it as an H.264. You're going to choose where you're exporting it to. In this case, right in our folder, I'm going to hit save, render, and this will give us our final file here in a few minutes, and that is what you submit to me. So I hope this isn't too difficult. Take your time, make a beautiful Photoshop composite, and then have some fun animating it.